into quantum physics prior to Einstein. And Einstein comes and says, much later, right? Space-time is an illusion of consciousness. And that's exactly what infinite is being described here. So if there is no beginning and no end, it's beyond space-time continuum, right? So it surpasses, transcends the material world.
Yeah, it's atemporal. Because all that is temporal is our notion of the convention of time here on Earth, because we're stuck within boundaries that have limitations. But it's like you have to contemplate, once I leave the Earth, does the time of the Earth apply to me still? Or do I begin to inherit other different conventions or other different times or notions, etc.? I mean, that's going beyond the study here, but we have to understand that it's an atemporal being because it's not infinite. There was no beginning. It's always been there. It's hard for us to comprehend that because we live in this temporal illusion where we think that everything must have a beginning. But we have to remove that idea, that notion from our minds and detach ourselves from the earthly convention in order to begin to comprehend the first essence of God. And then there's a footnote by Kardec where he observes the response and he says, God is infinite in divine perfection, but the infinite itself is an abstract concept. Thus, to say that God is the infinite is to replace the thing itself with one of its attributes. It is to define something that is unknown by referring to something that is equally unknown. So, it is just applying something else that we don't know to something that we can't comprehend, which is why it's a faulty definition. Because we don't comprehend the essence of God, but we feel the essence of God, as I said in the beginning. So it's a different definition. And then on the second part here we have proofs of the existence of God. And the first question asks, where may we find the proof for the existence of God? Does anyone think they know what the answer is? Or does anyone have the answer? You have the cheat with you.
I always have.
Feel free to participate, please. I mean, it's a small group. Nobody's going to judge anyone here because I don't know anything either. I'm learning as I go along and learning with you guys. So.
Well, I think the problem with science, as we have advanced, of course, but as we are now, science's objective is to explain the material world, and God is beyond the material world. So if we are trying to find a proof, like the concept that we normally have in a scientific way, a proof from the material world, we are bound to fail. So the proof of God's not going to be found in the material world, right? Because
yeah, and if you think about it, human beings from the very beginning always sought a better standard of living. From the very beginning, we sought society because we realized that by ourselves we're limited to what we can do because we have to fend for ourselves for everything that we need, for food, clothing, everything. So we began to have this division of labor where each individual was specialized in their own field, and this allowed us more free time to be devoted to other endeavors, and then the other individuals would focus on their own work, etc., etc. And then this is how society began to be able to have this ability to seek out greater projects, to seek out science and to develop their intelligence and to advance, because now everyone was specialized, everyone shared the burden, so to speak. And so in this constant seeking of something else, we see the search for an answer of why we are here. Because if you fast forward to today, aren't we always constantly trying to seek out the answers of the universe, of why something is like this in the universe? Or we're trying to seek out other civilizations. We're trying to go to other planets. We send probes out into the ether to figure out how things work. We're always searching for answers. And this is innate in everyone, because in reality, this is nothing more than man searching for God, searching for his origins. He wants to have some proof. He needs something, so he's always seeking it out. And that's proof enough for me that there is no such thing as people who don't believe in God. They claim they don't. They're atheists, and that's fine. We respect everyone's opinions. But I truly think...
He's everywhere.
What's that?
He's everywhere.
Yeah,
Just
God is everywhere.
Stupid. Can you see it then?
Well, we don't call people that.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
hello. You know, if nobody talking about God for me, if I don't know nothing about God, I say something behind that, something beyond that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well...
You can see that, you know. Look at the sun, look at the
Right.
air, you know. The air you cannot see, but you can feel it. You know,
Yeah.
it's an intelligent behind, you know,
Sure.
beyond that.
Yes, yeah. And, you know, Emmanuel has a quote where he says that, the Spirit Emmanuel says that atheists, or people who do not believe in God, are nothing more than desperate minds trying to deny their own essence, their own true essence. And that is the truth, because if we were created by Him and we're denying Him as existing, we're denying ourselves as actually existing, like we are not here. If God doesn't exist, then we don't exist.
Who saw that movie, Contact?
Oh.
I just gave away my age. Really?
Yeah, like yesterday, right? That movie.
1998 wasn't that long ago.
In that movie, there is a very interesting discussion between science and religion, right? And there is this scientist that Jodie Foster plays, and then there is the religious scholar. And if you didn't believe in God, you look at him and you start believing. But anyway, so there's this nice discussion about science and God. At one point, she says, as a scientist, I cannot believe in what I cannot prove. And he pauses and he asks her a question. Let me ask you something. Did you love your father that had already passed away? And she says, yes, of course I did love my father. To what he said, please prove it. How do we prove love,
Right.
right? So
Very
putting
interesting
together
movie.
that God is love, like John describes, right?
Yeah.
Then how do you prove love?
You prove it in your daily actions, right? In your daily interactions, it's always being proven, right? When we wake up and we kiss our parents good morning, when we kiss our loved ones, when we hug them, when we embrace our friends, that is a constant proof that love exists, and a constant proof that because love exists, God exists, because God is all loving. But the answer to question 4, which was, where may we find proof for the existence of God, is in an axiom you apply to all your sciences, which is, there is no effect without a cause. If you would search for the cause of whatever is not the work of human beings, then reason will answer your question. So there you have it. Because if you look at nature, can any one human being or any group of human beings, if you take all the intelligences that are incarnated on Earth at this moment, all 7 billion put together, do you think we could come up with the process of how a seed becomes a tree? Could we recreate that? It's a simple thing that we observe daily, but it's so intricate. Even Chico Xavier said in an interview that you'll find more beautiful lines in the details of a leaf than you will in all 900 pages of Shakespeare, because there you find the DNA of divinity. You see creation within that leaf. So when we think about the greatness that you find in one tiny seed, right, the mustard seed from Christ, we realize that we're nothing, basically, when we think about the greatness of the Father. So we have to always remember this, because it humbles us, and we then understand how far we're yet to travel and traverse to begin to comprehend the essence of God. And then question 5 asks, all human beings have within them the intuitive sentiment of God's existence. What can we conclude from this? And then the answer is that God exists. Otherwise, where would such a sentiment come from? In other words, where would such a sentiment of denial come from? Perhaps it's a spirit that transgressed the divine statutes and the divine laws, and he incarnates with that sense of guilt, but he doesn't want to admit that he made a mistake, and thus he has within him, imprinted in his conscience, the denial of the existence of God, because he doesn't want to accept the flaws and the mistakes he committed in the past existence. So that might explain why we have so many atheists today, because the world is in a stage of transition at the moment. I mean, we're advancing very quickly. So perhaps it is the last opportunity for those brothers and sisters to come here and make right whatever wrongs they may have committed in the past. And then I'm going to skip the next few questions because they don't really pertain to what we're talking about here. And in question number 9 is asked, where may we see the first cause? Where may we see in the first cause a supreme intelligence, superior to all other intelligences? And then the answer is, you have a proverb that says, the workman is known by his work. So look at the work and you will find the workman. And then there's an extra line here that says, pride is what creates disbelief. Human pride believes in nothing above itself. So pride blinds us. We can't see beyond 5 feet in front of us because we're too good, too great. I'm the center of the universe, no longer Earth. Earth used to be the center of the universe, now I've become the center of the universe. If you thought that Earth was the center of the universe, how could we comprehend God as being an entity that embraces all of the infinite, all of the unending universe? Because if you thought everything was here on Earth, then God was only here on Earth. That's why Yuri Gagarin, who was the first astronaut to go into space for the Soviet Union, when he reached orbit, he came back and he laughed and he said, "Oh, the Earth is blue." That was his first message. And then he followed by saying, "But I didn't find God here." And then the astronauts who landed in the moon, I don't remember which crew it was. I believe it was maybe Apollo 17 or 16. A couple of them, I think even Neil Armstrong jokingly said, "Well, I didn't find God in the moon." Because that's the notion of we're so tied to Earth that we think everything is here on Earth, that God is only preoccupied with Earth. No, Christ is preoccupied with Earth and probably other places that he's responsible for, but God, he's always preoccupied with everything. There are beings inhabiting every single corner of the universe. It's not just Earth, even the invisible realms and planes that we can't see. We might say, "Oh, I've never seen life on Mars. I've never seen life on any other planet." Okay, maybe we haven't seen life with our human eyes.